What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. I have an awesome boot review for you guys today. It's the World Cup colorway of the Puma Future Z 1.4s. All right, fam, so a common question that I get a lot in the Puma Future realm, because it is a very popular football boot for a lot of people, is what's the difference between the 1.3 and the 1.4? I actually haven't reviewed the 1.4, which is why I picked this up. I thought it might be good to do a version of this particular model and just to discuss the subtle differences between the 1.3 and the 1.4. They're basically the same boot as far as I know. Obviously in hand it'll feel a little bit different. We'll talk about some of the things that might make this one a little bit different than the 1.3, and we'll go from there. So this is the Puma Future Z 1.4 in the FG/AG in fiery fizzy black salmon colorway. So it's part of their World Cup pack that just got released very recently. It's a very traditional Puma box, red with all the Puma logoing. You've got the Puma logo here up on top, and then of course the sizing chart with all of the different sizes in adult, men, women, kids, and of course Euro, US, and Japan. So it is my usual size 9 US, which is a UK 8 in the Puma lineup. That is something just to keep in mind when you're looking about sizing, depending on where you are in the world. Just be aware of different brands have different sizing deals. So for instance, Puma and Nike are a single size difference between, like one size difference between UK and US sizing, whereas Adidas is a half a size. So just be aware of that. Let's hop straight into the unboxing. I'm really excited to see what these look like in person, and I'm hoping that the cameras, ooh, very cool. The cameras do the color justice. Wow. All right, so that is the Puma Future Z 1.4. Very nice. I really like this color. This reminds me a lot of Hyper Punch from Adidas. It reminds me a lot of those, I think they were like Vapor 10s or something, that were like a Hyper Punch. It is kind of similar to the color of the Superfly 4 Elites, with the carbon fiber bottom, and they were the first Flyknit high collar Vapors, or Superflies, I guess. And so it's kind of a similar, hopefully that color does it justice. I'm gonna check in post-production if it actually like makes the color look the way it is and confirm, but this is a very nice football boot. I really like the silhouette of the Future. I do think it's kind of unique looking, and I do think that the Evo Knit and the Fusion Fit Plus band that goes in the midfoot really is a nice feeling. The one thing that I had a major complaint about with the 1.3s, which I reviewed two versions of, the orange launch colorway of the 1.3, and then also a blue colorway, which was an 8.5. So I went a half a size down, and that one seemed to fit really snug, but it fit, in my opinion, I like my boots to be super tight. So stay tuned to the end of the video to know if these ones are for sale. I might actually sell these if they are a half a size or a quarter size too big, just because I don't like boots that have extra space on the toe area. That's one thing that I really don't like about this boot, is I wish it just fit true to size. But that remains to be said. I haven't tried on the 1.4 yet, so I don't know, but let's stay tuned for the on-feet portion of the video and you'll find out there. So this is a Fusion Fit Plus band, which is a knit material that they've constructed with reinforced kind of cables in this midfoot area. It's very similar, if not the exact same, to the 1.3. So you've got those cables that run, or these like reinforced wires, so to speak, in that midfoot area. And then you've got this Evo Knit Pro material in the forefoot, which is really soft. It's just an updated texturing on the upper. So that's kind of the only difference between that and the 1.3. Updated texturing, and everything else about this boot seems to be the same to the eye. You've got the nano grip technology insert there on the inside of the boot. You can see there the logoing. It's pretty cool. And that's actually one thing that I really like about the Puma boots, is they put just a nano grip technology on the insole. So even if you're not wearing grip socks, you do feel definitely a little bit extra stability compared to a lot of the other boots on the market, especially something like the Montebelluna Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elites that just released, that I did a review on. You guys have, if you haven't seen that video, definitely go check it out. But that insert is so slick. There's no grip on that unless you wear grip socks, whereas this one really does a nice job of locking your foot in place regardless of whether you're wearing grip socks or not. So if you are forced to wear the long team socks, then there's no grip on the bottom. A Puma boot might be for you. Pretty cool. So anyway, Fusion Fit, Even It Pro. And yeah, there's not much else to talk about with this boot that's different from the 1.3. I think this like dynamic motion fit system or dynamic motion system here in the, which makes like a Z look to it, which is kind of interesting. But this sole plate actually I think is really great. Again, I do wish it fit true to size. It remains to be said. My guess is it's gonna fit a half a size or a quarter size too long for me, which is kind of a shame because I really would like a sole plate that kind of looks like this. I really enjoy conical studs. I enjoy studs that give you a lot of pivoting power, a lot of motion in multiple directions, and I do think that this would be such a great boot if it did fit true to size. I know a lot of people though absolutely love these and they swear by them, and of course Neymar headlines this boot, so that's pretty sweet. As far as colorway goes, I do think this looks kind of wacky. You've got this kind of hyper punch in the raw, like this area here where the raw knit material is exposed, and then once the coating starts, it's a little bit more of that like fiery orange red color. And you've got some black accents here in the forefoot there with the yellow Puma, like Volt yellow Puma logoing, and some little chevron arrows that run kind of along the whole upper heel area and down on the lower part of the midfoot here, which is kind of a cool accent. So they are really loud. They're definitely a boot that's going to stand out in the World Cup, which I think is great. That's always one thing that I am curious about with how brands go about their World Cup planning and World Cup colorways. This is definitely one that's going to stick out, similar to those Hyper Punch Superfly 4 Elites that were in the 2014 World Cup. And those ones were super bright and they were so loud. The Magista kind of was on that same level of just being Volt yellow with the kind of those Hyper Punch accents, black accents. I think this will follow suit. So you'll be able to see these and know. And the Puma, what is it? Puma Ultra Ultimates are also this color. And so no matter which boot the player is wearing, you'll be able to tell that it's a Puma boot, which I think is a great thing for brands to do in especially big tournaments like the World Cup, right? So really loud, really nice, soft pair of football boots. They've got a decent amount of width to them. In my 1.3 video, I talked about how if you have feet that are as wide as mine, they might take quite a bit longer to break in. That's one thing that I did complain about, and I didn't really agree with some of the other reviews online, which were like, it's suitable for pretty much every foot type. Not unless you have really wide feet. So that's, for me, it's like, you really have to know, because you have wide feet, to know that these might stretch a little bit and might not stretch a little bit. That's just something that I would keep in mind. But as I try them on, I'll kind of explain my thoughts towards these. One of the players on my team here at Flower City wore the 1.3s and really liked them. He's got absolute tank feet like me, and it took him like probably 10 different sessions to break them in. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I don't know, he loves them now and he wears them pretty often now, but that's just one thing to keep in mind if you are a wide-footed player. I might recommend going with something a little bit different, but for the most part, most foot shapes should fit in here pretty well because this Fusion Fit system will stretch and will mold to your foot. The other thing that's kind of cool about these boots, I don't recommend or not recommend this, but they do advertise that these boots can be worn with or without the laces. I always say if you have the option for laces, go with laces because it'll give you a better fit and feel and a better lockdown sensation. But that being said, if you're somebody who wants a laceless boot and you fit perfectly in these boots, go for it. Take out the laces, enjoy, and they should be pretty good, especially if you wear them with grip socks. This heel area does a really nice job locking you in, and it's got a nice suede texturing to it with not a ton of padding, so it should fit most heel types. With the nano grip technology in the insert, you should be able to get a really nice fit and feel in here with a laceless sensation if that's what you're looking for. So that's just something to keep in mind as well, which is a cool option with these. So a very interesting football boot, very I would say very polarizing. The opinions I have of people who've worn them are either they're the best boots I've ever worn, or I tried them on and they were okay and then I hated them and I never want to see them again. So I haven't really seen anybody who's neutral about these. They are kind of wonky looking. For me, they're not the greatest looking boot. I like the silhouette of them, but they're okay. I don't know. I don't really like the look of them that much. But I am excited if they do fit well to wear them, do a 1 month review about them. If they don't fit that well, I probably won't do a 1 month review. That's just because I want to protect my feet, and I only do 1 month reviews of boots that I actually would consider wearing properly. But no, these are cool. I'm excited. Let's hop into the on-feet portion of the video and we'll talk more about how these fit, feel, and of course what the sizing is like. All right, fam, welcome back to the facility. I've got the awesome, very, very bright Puma Future Z 1.4s in hand, ready to go, unlaced. Let's hop into it. So we are going to get the boots on feet really quick. Keep in mind the 1.3s fit about a quarter size long to a half a size long here in the toe area. I had a reasonable amount of width through the midfoot, but again, it was a little bit too big through this toe box. So that's something to keep in mind if you are interested in purchasing a pair and you are a thinner foot type. I might recommend going either half a size down or true to size, depending on what you want. So we'll get these slid on and we'll go straight from there. Here you go, boom. Okay, so pretty comfortable straight out of the box. I really like how this mid-foot fusion fit band fits, and moment of truth here, it's about a quarter size too long, which is really frustrating. I really want these to fit, and they don't, unfortunately, so that's a bummer, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, you know? It's one of those things. So let's get these all tied up, and then I'll talk a little bit about sizing, how these fit and feel, and get a sense of what they're like to wear in and touch on ball and all that stuff. I'm not gonna lace this other one up just to get a sense of what you might feel if you went for the laceless style of shoe. So if you just were to take the laces out, what the differences would be. So there you go. And we'll get these out of the way. And there you go. That's what these boots look like on feet. They are really nice and comfortable. I actually love how these fit and feel on feet. I do think it would take me a little while to break it in, especially in this seam area where it changes from this Evo Knit Pro material to the Fusion Fit Plus band, this seam right there. I think that is a seam that kind of crushes a part of my foot right in that area that's a little bit wider. So that's just something I would keep in mind if you are somebody who's got a wide midfoot or toe box area. You might need just a little bit of extra time to break those in. That being said, who knows? Maybe I will keep these and just kind of test them out and see how they go. But that is what they look like on feet. They're super bright. They're super interesting to look at. I think they look actually really fantastic. I really like bright colored boots like this. I think they're super cool. And touch on the ball, really nice and soft. It does remind me a little bit of a Magista. It does remind me a little bit of some of the old Predator mutators that I used to wear, just because of how nice and comfortable the knit material is, especially in that midfoot area. And they do feel really good. I will admit, I do think they feel awesome. Again, I'm just a little bit of a stickler on that toe box area. I want my toe to get right up on the edge. So maybe I'll go a half size down. I just don't think this boot fits my foot and foot shape very well. I know that a lot of people love these boots. I just think if you are somebody with kind of a more boxy or rectangular shaped foot, I would maybe recommend looking for something else that's knitted. Look for something like a Phantom Ultra if you can get your hands on a pair of those, or a leather fit football boot. But I do really love the concept of these. I think they're so cool, and I would love to get a pair that was custom fit to my foot, that was just shortened by about a quarter size. But they do fit a quarter size long for most people. As far as the laceless side of my body goes, these aren't laced up, they feel really, really nice. They definitely have a little bit more stretch to them, as you would expect, not having the laces in, but that is something to keep in mind as well if you are somebody who wants to wear them laces or laceless versus laces. There's not a ton of difference right now just because they're brand new in moving back and forward. I can feel the heel slipping a little bit on my right side, which is the laceless side. So that is something just to keep in mind if you are somebody who really struggles with blisters when breaking boots in. I would recommend keeping the laces in, tying them tight, untying them, taking the boot off. I actually have a video that's about how to break in your boots faster, and that boot had a ton of traction and still continues to do really well because the tips and tricks that I say in that video are actually things that I use myself. So one of the tips and tricks basically is I tie my boots really tight, train in them or warm up in them, untie them, take them off, put them back on, tie them again, start training again, and do that process throughout the whole first or second or third even training session, depending on how long it takes for me to break them in, especially if they're boots that, as you can see here, they're really struggling to get that width area right in that part. This one, not so much obviously because I haven't tied the laces tight, but what I would do, especially if you have wide feet in this area here on the outside, I would recommend checking that video out for more tips and tricks about how to break in your boots a little bit faster. But no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, these are a really nice fit pair of football boots. This Fusion Fit and Evo Knit up in the forefoot does a really nice job of wrapping your foot really well, gives you a super custom fit straight out of the box. And once you break them in, you know, one of my close friends has these in, they're like a black and a yellow. I think he has the 1.3s, not the guy that I spoke about earlier, but a different teammate of mine. And he absolutely swears by these. He's like, these are the best boots that ever have fit my feet. I'm trying to buy like 5 or 6 pairs so I never run out while I keep playing. Fair play, you know, like you just got to do what you got to do. So for a lot of people, I think these boots are going to be totally suitable. So if you're looking for kind of a lower cut Magista Obra 2, Magista Obra 1, but you don't want it wrapping around your ankle, these might be a fantastic option. I think the sole plate's great. It's just it doesn't do anything exceptionally well. It's not the best knit on the market. It's not the best sole plate on the market. It's not the best fit and feel and comfort on the market, but it's definitely, I would say it's probably in the top 5 or 6 boots on the market. If you're just looking at like all of the numbers and all of the factors put together, these really do a good job at kind of everything. Like they're just really good at everything, but they're no expert at one thing, right? They're not a speed boot, so they don't have that crazy draft. You get what I'm saying. Awesome pair of football boots. Really no technical differences other than a little bit of texturing on the forefoot area and toe box for any sort of difference between the 1.3 and these, which are the 1.4s. And so I would recommend, this is my hot take, if you're gonna buy these, go with the 1.3s if you can find them cheaper, and if you can find them at the same price and you can't find any of them cheaper, get the 1.4s. Just because it's the newer generation, you're probably gonna have a little bit extra tech something in there. So that's what I would do. If I could find the 1.3s cheaper, I would definitely buy those first, and then because they are basically the same shoe. It's the same thing that happened with the 1.1 Ultras 1.1 and 1.2, and then 1.3 and 1.4. I have the same feeling about all those boots. Those two and those two fit basically the same. They're the same everything. They're just different colors and minor updates, which don't make that much of a difference. And if you can find them discounted, buy the discounted ones. If you like this video and you got value from it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.